Hi everyone, welcome to Spin Along Molecules. Today I will talk about the impact section of Marie Curie proposal and how to achieve a maximum score in this section. I will share practical examples from my proposal where I got 5 out of 5 in the impact section, and I hope this video will be very helpful for writing a strong impact section of your Marie Curie proposal. So the impact section has a weightage of 30%. So what is impact? Impact is why this project matters and who will benefit from this project. So the beneficiaries could be society, your scientific field, and most importantly, yourself. So how this project, in this section, you have to explain how this project will benefit all these, and then there is a separate section here that you talk about scientific impacts, societal impacts, economic and technological impacts. So in the scientific impact you can mention like this proposed project will create new knowledge or answer an important question in your field. In the societal impacts, you can mention how it is related with the society, how it will benefit European society or the broader community. In the economic and technological impact, you can mention whether your project has some commercialization potential or potential to create new spin-off or to collaborate with the industry to make new products or something like that. And important thing in writing the impact section is that you should write in a flow that you do some activities or actions and they have outcomes and then their impact. So another important thing here is that you should relate these activities or actions to your objectives and work packages, and also to your results in other parts of your MSCA proposal. And very important is include a detailed impact on the career development of the researcher, so which is the next part. So the first section 2.1 is impact on the career development of the researcher. So this is all about you. So you talk about how it will broaden your scientific skills, how it will enhance your understanding of a concept, or how you will get transferable skill like management skills or organizing a scientific event or something similar, or budget management skills. So you talk about these things here, and then you also can mention here that you during this MSCA proposal you will develop new connections, new memberships, and then you will establish long-term collaborations with different partners. You will look for new collaborations, and that will have a very strong impacts on your future career. So then a clear goal towards your scientific independence. So this should be clearly visible in your proposal. And then pathway to ERC grants or future faculty roles. For example, you can write in that how do you see yourself in next 5-year, 10-year, short-term, long-term plans, and how these activities of Marie Curie proposal will help you to achieve those goals and develop connections and collaborations and all these things. So I will show in next section like how I divided these part into this subsection into further parts, and how I explained my impact of my proposal on my career development. And then is a very important part is dissemination of exploitation and communication of your results. So this is also quite challenging. For example, when I wrote the first proposal, I was not very sure about the dissemination and communication. So for example, for scientists, mostly what we are doing is the dissemination. Dissemination is how you communicate your science, your results to scientific audience. That we normally, when we are writing an article or a paper, we are discussing our results, and we are going to group meetings or workshops or seminars, and we are presenting our work. That is dissemination. And we are going to conferences and oral presentation, poster presentation. This is all dissemination of your result to the scientific community or to your field. That we are good at. We normally doing these things. But when it's compared with the communication, communication is a step further. So here you communicate your results to general audience. They don't need to be scientific audience, to the general public, to the future generation. For example, you do outreach activities like, for example, in Europe, you can mention here the long night of science event. You can present your work over there to the general public in a way that they can understand it. You can write blogs, posts, or you can use social media like Twitter or YouTube to communicate your science to the people. And you can also mention that you can go to organize a workshop in high school or secondary schools in the country you're planning, and this will help future generation to excite them about the science that you will be doing. So this is communication. So it's very important that you clearly understand these two concepts like communication and dissemination. Then you can write them in a strong way. So in both cases, I made tables, and I put what activities I will do and what kind of outcome they will have. I will discuss this in next section. The exploitation is in a positive way, that you have done some work and you have results and you want to exploit them in your favor. That how will you do that? For example, you can file a patent which in the future might be sold and you can benefit. You can how you will store your data, or licensing, or any spin-off company or a startup company that you expect your results could enable, or your work could enable a new startup company. That is the exploitation of results. And you should mention that you're very familiar, you're very clear about these technological potential of your research, and that you have plans in place to protect your and to exploit your results in your favor, in the favor of your host or the European community in a broader sense. So tailor your messages to different audience. You tell which kind of audience you're selecting for example, for communication or dissemination, and then you have to tell what kind of activity you will do to enable your audience to understand your message. And also important, you should correlate it with any institutional strengths or platform or resources that are available in your institute, that you can use them to exploit your result. For example, over here I mentioned in one of my communication part that my institute arranges a girls' day that is dedicated to school going girls, and it's only dedicated for girls, and it enhances their understanding of science and excite them for science. So it will increase the participation of next generation of scientists, and also increase the participation of girls and women in science. So you have to relate these things with the broader objectives of the society that encourages these things, and you will do these things. So then it becomes a very strong element of your proposal. So next, third part of your impact section is scientific impact, how it advances your field. What you expect. Do you expect any new materials, new products that it will bring, new knowledge it will create, or would you answer any important scientific question. So this is all about the scientific impacts of your proposal. And then you talk about economic impacts and technological impacts. So these both are related in a way. Like if your proposal has some technological potential, so you can relate it to, it can create a startup or a new spin-off company, or you can also partner with the industrial with the industry. You can also partner with the industry and also benefit from there. And also you can write from economic point of view, like what kind of things will happen. So then the societal is for some fields it might be very clear and easy to write. For example, if you are working in a pharmaceutical or health industry, you can easily write how it will impact the society sooner or later. If you are in the environment field, you can talk about how it will impact the climate change and all these efforts. So this will impact the society. But for fundamental science, it's a little bit difficult. But here I mentioned that in the long term, I see these kind of impacts of my proposal on the society. For example, I was proposing that I will make the material which are pure carbon-based materials, and they will have impact on the society, because right now the society is facing a challenge of resource depletion, and my materials will be resource abundant. And similarly, there is a challenge of waste disposal, so they will also overcome. So clearly define the beneficiaries and long-term benefits of your proposal. So next, I will show the evaluation reports of the two proposals that I wrote, and these evaluation reports will be about the impact section. So the first proposal I wrote, I had 4.3 out of 5, which again is not a bad score, but my implementation section was not properly written, so it killed my proposal. So again, I still had some weaknesses in the impact section that were pointed out by the reviewer, so I will tell you that. But when I wrote the second proposal, I got 5 out of 5. So now I share both of these evaluation reports with you. For the first proposal, the first weakness was the contribution of the action to the development of soft skills. For example, nowhere in my impact section on the researcher's career development impact, I never mentioned any soft skill that I will achieve. For example, any administrative skills, organizational skills, organizing a workshop, or any other thing. So these were lacking in my proposal. And then there was another point that the research outcome could be subject of IP protection, like intellectual property protection, and these are not sufficiently identified. So this was because I was not clear in these sections, so I could not write a strong statement. So this was like what I was doing is has technological potential, and there should be clear plan to have intellectual property protection steps that I will take to like filing a patent or licensing. These kind of things I need to mention, which were not mentioned in my proposal, and these were pointed out by the reviewers. So in my second proposal, I got 5 out of 5, and they could not find a significant weakness in my proposal. So here the strength, I will talk about the strength. For example, here the proposal explained convincingly that the skills the researcher will acquire and the multidisciplinary environment of the host institute. So these things like they liked it, and how I clearly explained it. And then the second is the dissemination plan of research results towards scientific community is carefully developed and fully appropriate. And then they talk about outreach activities, like communication plan, outreach activities and public engagement strategy are convincingly presented and coherent. So these were very important things, and then I put some effort. I try to learn how this section should be written, and then here they in this section mention, for example, patent protection of the results is adequately considered in the proposal. And they also mentioned here that both supervisor and researcher have experience. For example, I filed a patent in my PhD, and I brought it here that I have experience of filing patents, and if anything comes out that needs to be patent, so I have experience, and my advisor have experience, so this will be no problem, and I will use the resources of my research institute. So this is a very secure and very solid plan. And then they mention like the long-term technological and economic impacts of the proposed research are convincingly outlined. For example, here it's important that I wrote in the long term. I wrote in the brackets that these impacts that I'm talking about are after the lifetime of my proposal, because this is a fundamental research. This might not bring directly immediate impacts, but in the long term it will have these impacts. So now I talk about how I structured my proposal. So about the length, sometimes we are not sure how long we should write the excellence section or the impact section or implementation section. Sometimes we give too much length to our excellence section. So maybe I did not mention this in my previous video, but here I'm mentioning that my excellence section was 5.5 pages. So from the middle of the page number 6, I started my impact section, and it went all the way to almost end of page number 8. So it was roughly 2.3 pages long, the impact section, and then I had the implementation section. So it's appropriate, like it has a 30% weightage, and so I give appropriate space in my proposal to each section. And then how I structured it. So this is the first part, 2.1 of the impact section, like impact on my research, the capability of researcher, career perspectives, and contribution to his skill development. So in this I made a subsection. Here I wrote new competencies and skills that I will acquire. For example, I researched about my host lab, that what techniques and equipment they are using. I have not used them in my PhD, so I wrote the names of those techniques and equipments that I will use and I will learn. So so you should mention these things. And then I also mentioned here that I will mentor master and PhD students, so this will give me mentoring skills, and it will be very helpful for me for my future independent career, where I will be managing researchers, PhD students, and then I also talk about the secondment, where I will learn new skills which are not available in my host lab. So I go to secondment, and I will learn new skills and techniques there. I mention the names of those techniques which they have, and that I will acquire. And then I also talk about simulation and theoretical calculation and any software packages that they use. So I have never used them. I wrote the names of those skills, and this was very helpful in this case. So second subsection of this part, impact on researcher, was management and academic skills, because in my previous proposal they pointed out that it's not mentioned clearly how the researcher will learn soft skills. So here I really spent some time, and I talked about like what kind of things are happening in my host institute and how I can relate them to my development of these soft skills. So I mentioned that I will involve in organizing workshops, any seminars or any social events. This will help me to develop organizational skills. And I talk about I will further enhance my communication skill, like how to write or give oral talks or something like that, like how I communicate my science. So there are opportunities in my host institutes, workshops, that I will actively participate to enhance these skills. And then I also mentioned here that I will organize a roundtable, maybe online conference, mini conference, where I will invite experts in my field, 3 to 4 experts, and so this will give me another important skill of organizing scientific conferences or talks. And then I also mentioned that MSCA proposal will give me an opportunity to learn about how to manage and utilize the budget. So this was also very important, and I mentioned that this will enable me when I apply for bigger grants. So how to manage the budget. So then is setting long-term collaboration in academia and industry. Here I mentioned that I will develop new connections, new collaborations, long-term collaborations that will help me to boost my career perspectives. And I will attend conferences. I mentioned the name of those conferences in my field, and I will attend them, and I will make more connections there. I will develop industrial collaboration. So I search a little bit about my host. In the previous, they had some collaboration with industry, and I said I will utilize those resources to further strengthen my own industrial collaborations. So then I talk about new membership of scientific organizations. I researched about the field and found out some important organizations, and I mentioned their names, and I said that I will get their memberships, and it will also benefit me to connect with the people and collaborate with the people in my field. So then expected impact on my career. So here I mentioned my 5-year short-term plan, 10-year long-term plan, and I mentioned that I will apply for ERC funding or any other national fundings, and this MSCA proposal will really help me in getting independent positions and grants. So for example, here I summed up all the impact on the researcher in this very short table. Like, so here I made a table, and in this table I mentioned that MSCA fellowship will significantly enhance my employability, making an important turning point in my career through personal and professional development, new connections and memberships, new collaborations, and enhanced visibility. So this was an overall sum of these 5 sections. So if somebody does not have a time to go through each section, they can just read this and get a sense that what I'm talking about in this section. So it's important that you make these kind of statements after each section, and then it's easier for the reviewers to not go deeper. First they get the message, and if they want to see deeper, they can of course read, but this really helps them to quickly go through your proposal in the beginning. And then is the next 2.2 section of my second proposal. Here I mentioned dissemination plan, exploitation plan, and communication and outreach plan. So in the dissemination plan, I wrote one table, and in this table you can see there are about 5 columns, and each column I talk about what I am going to say in this dissemination plan and what activity I will do. For example, here projects progress on the synthesis. So I attend group meetings, research seminars within our group. So what is who are the target audience, what metrics or how many number of audience will be there, and what is the goal. So you can make further rows. So I'm showing here too, I made 4 or 5 rows, and you can put different activities, and then the similar way you can you can add these things, and ultimately what is the goal. And this is something that the reviewer liked about my proposal, because going through a table is very easy than reading a lot of text. So I would highly recommend to make a table over here about your dissemination plan, and then is the exploitation plan or intellectual property protection. So I mentioned here that the project is technologically innovative and it has innovative potential. There is a potential of commercialization, so I see that. So we will also look for the possibility of any startup or spin-off company from this research project. So we will consider patent protection, and here I mentioned my PhD experience of filing patent and my host's experience and the resources in my host. So we will have a solid plan of patent protection if some results are to be have these kind of commercialization potential. And so this was quite solid at that time when I wrote, and so this was also mentioned in by the reviewers in their evaluation report of my second proposal. So then, as the communication and outreach plan, here I subdivided into two tables. One was about the communication, so I wrote CO for communication, and then is outreach plan, I wrote O for outreach. And you can see here similarly what key message I want to tell the people and the activity that I will use. For example, here I said like I will interview or write blog on the website or some media channel. So the target is the local community, how many readership I expect, how much readership I expect, and what is the goal of it, like awareness about the role of chemistry in the future technologies, and also expected outcome like increased public pressure on governments to support chemical science research, for example. Similarly, this was about what I will do for outreach. So chemistry and quantum technologies is a key message here. So as a Marie Curie ambassador, what I will do, organize a workshop in local schools, so primary and secondary school students will be my audience. So how much participation I expect, then what's my goal. So inform the future generation about science and technology, and then what it will have impact, increase interest and curiosity among children about the science. So this is how you manage. You can add more rows here. So for example, I added 3 rows here and 3 here. So you can plan different activities here, key messages here, and it's very important that you include a table here. It's very easy to go through, and reviewers like this kind of format. So this was all these things were mentioned in my evaluation report. Like these aspects of the proposals are quite strong. And then I wrote 2.3 section of the impact, and this is about scientific, societal, and economic impact. So in the scientific impact, what I did, I mentioned that the materials that I'm making are new materials, new products. So these have not been made, so these are novel materials. So this will have significant scientific impact, and this will also create new knowledge in my field, because these materials have not been made, and and the characterization or the understanding about their properties, magnetic or electronic properties I will have, this will create new knowledge. So you can link these things with your research, like what you are doing and how it will bring new knowledge. And then I also mentioned, like in the third objective or second objective of my proposal was that I'm trying to answer an important scientific question that have not been answered before. So this was also a significant scientific impact. So this was very convincingly addressed the scientific impacts, and a little easier than other impact sections. So then the societal impact. For example, in my case, I mentioned increase public awareness about the material that I'm making, because these are carbon-based material. They don't have any metal, and this is something which will not have the problem of resource depletion, because carbon materials are resource abundant, and then they could be recyclable, and they will not have waste disposal issues. For example, I related that current semiconductor industry, waste disposal is one of the biggest issue, and the material that I'm proposing, if they will be used in future as a semiconductor or quantum material, so in these kind of technologies, so they will not have this big issue of waste disposal. So these methods are more eco-friendly, environment-friendly, and this will also, what I'm doing is increase pressure on the governments or the policy and decision-making level, so they will support these kind of research which is more environment-friendly. So this is how I linked my research, my proposal, a fundamental science of chemistry and material science towards the societal impact. So in your field, you can also relate them, but you have to structure according to your proposal or what you are proposing. And then lastly is in economic and technological impacts of the proposal. So I said, like, what I'm making, these are the new products. They could have commercialization potential. So they definitely would have at some point like economic. Will contribute to the European knowledge base economy. So also here I told them that the long-term goals, the end goal of my projects, beyond the project's lifetime. This literally I mentioned in my proposal that after my proposal, these impacts might be, and this research is in line with the European Green Charter, and all these things. So I mentioned here. So this is how you can structure your proposal. And so I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope this content is helpful in writing your impact section. Let me know in the comments if something is not clear or need further explanation. So I would be happy to give more explanation on any part of the impact section. And thank you for watching, and I wish you good luck in writing your MSc proposal. Hope to see you in next video that will be dedicated to the implementation section.